The parking area outside the upscale supermarket was a constant battleground. For Maria, the cleaner, it was a daily trial of her patience. Her job was simple on the surface: keep the narrow walkway clear for pedestrians and ensure a clear pathway to the store's main entrance. The instructions were spelled out on a series of bright yellow signs she herself had helped paint. No parking. But every single day, people treated the space as if the signs were invisible. They'd pull their sleek cars into the walkway, blocking her path, and then they'd disappear into the store, leaving her to clean around their shiny, arrogant vehicles. Her pleas were met with rude stares and dismissive hand gestures. Maria, a hard-working woman with tired eyes and a fierce sense of justice, would sigh, sweep around the vehicles and carry on. She had a single goal in her mind: to save enough money to leave this life behind and open a small convenience store, a small slice of independence that she could call her own. But today, she was on the verge of a breaking point. The sun was a relentless fire in the sky, and her back ached from hours of work. The fumes from the exhaust pipes made her head pound with a dull, throbbing ache. A rude woman in a fancy suit had just yelled at her, calling her a nuisance for blocking the path with her cleaning cart. Maria had to move her cart just so the woman could get to her car. Then, a teenager too engrossed in his phone had nearly walked into her. She bit her tongue, but her anger was a simmering pot about to boil over. And then it happened. A sleek, black sports car, a machine of immense value and a symbol of a world she could not even imagine, pulled up and parked directly in her path. The owner, a man with a face of someone perpetually in a hurry, got out and rushed into the supermarket without so much as a glance in her direction. It was the final straw. The owner had not only disregarded her work but had done so with an air of complete indifference. The anger, simmering beneath the surface for weeks, boiled over. She went to her cleaning cart, not for a broom or a mop, but for a thick, vibrant can of paint she used for marking out the boundaries of the walkway. She had intended to repaint the "No Parking" sign, a symbolic act of rebellion against the daily disregard. Now it was a weapon. Driven by a raw, profound frustration, she lifted the heavy can, unscrewed the lid, and with a primal yell, she began to pour the thick, colored paint over the billionaire's car. As she did this, the man came rushing back out of the supermarket. It was Mr. John, the billionaire. He saw her mid-pour, the bright paint splattering across the hood of his beautiful car. Her eyes met his, and in that moment she was frozen, the can still in her hand. Her plan had been to do it and hide, to disappear into the crowd and let the owner of the car discover the vandalism. But the owner was standing right there, his face a mask of shock. Maria dropped the can. The remaining paint spilled onto the ground, forming a bright, chaotic puddle. She was terrified. The bravado that had fueled her actions evaporated, replaced by a cold, stomach-churning fear. She stammered, her voice a raw whisper. "Sir, I am so sorry. I know this is wrong, but you have no idea. Everyone parks here, and I've pleaded with them. I just got fed up." Mr. John was furious. His face was a mask of cold, controlled anger. He looked at his car, his beautiful, expensive car, now defaced with a streak of bright, cheap paint. He took a step toward her, his hands clenched into fists. He was about to explode, to yell, to demand to know what she was thinking. But then an unexpected thing happened. A woman with a confident stride and a cold smile walked past them. She was his wife, Clara. Today was their divorce day. They were scheduled to meet their lawyers in a few hours to sign the papers that would end their marriage. Her betrayal, her affair with his best friend, had been a wound that refused to heal. He had tried everything to get over it, but the pain, the humiliation, and the rage were still fresh. He saw her face, the way she was smiling as if she had won. And in that moment, a desperate, vengeful idea took hold. He didn't want to get revenge on Maria. He wanted to get revenge on his wife. He looked at Maria, the dirty paint on her hands, the fear in her eyes, and a strange, determined look came over his face. He walked up to her, took her face in his hands, and kissed her. The kiss was not passionate or romantic. It was a kiss of pure, unadulterated vengeance. The cleaner was amazed and surprised. She stood there, frozen, as his wife walked past, a look of pure shock and disbelief on her face. When his wife was out of sight, Mr. John pulled away. He looked at Maria, a new kindness in his eyes. "I am sorry about that," he said, his voice softer than she had ever heard it. "I had a reason. You see, that woman is my wife. Or she was. She cheated on me with my best friend. Today we are going to court to get a divorce. I want to inflict pain on her, so she will know what it feels like to be hurt." He looked at his car, then back at her. "I have a proposition for you," he said. "I need you to come with me to court. I need you to pretend to be my girlfriend. Just for a short time, just for the day. I want her to see that I have moved on, that I am happy. I want her to know that she did not ruin me." Maria looked at him, at his face, at the expensive car, and she shook her head. "Sir, I can't. I'm just a cleaner. My life is complicated. I can't get involved in this kind of thing. I'm saving to start a business, and I can't afford to get into trouble." Mr. John went to his car trunk, opened it, and pulled out a small, expensive-looking box. He opened it, revealing a staggering amount of cash. "This is not for nothing," he said. "This is a good number of cash. This will take care of your needs and start your business. This is for your trouble. This is for helping me with this one thing." Maria looked at the money, then at her own worn hands, at her tired clothes. This was more money than she could earn in 10 years. This was her dream, a single act of rage now turning into a chance at a new life. She hesitated for a moment, then with a heavy sigh, she accepted the offer. "Okay," she said. "I will do it." What would you have done? Would you have accepted his offer, or would you have walked away? Let us know in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this story. The hours that followed were a blur. Mr. John took Maria to a high-end clothing store, a place she had only ever seen from the outside. The sales attendants looked at her with a mix of suspicion and disdain, but Mr. John's presence commanded respect. He bought her a beautiful, simple yet elegant dress. He bought her new shoes, shoes that didn't hurt her feet, and new makeup. She looked at herself in the mirror, a stranger in a beautiful new skin. At the courthouse, Maria felt completely out of place. The air was heavy with the weight of broken promises and shattered relationships. She clutched her handbag, her knuckles white. Mr. John, dressed in a crisp suit, looked like a man in his element. He introduced her to his lawyer, a sharp, confident woman named Mrs. Williams, who eyed Maria with a look of cautious curiosity. The divorce proceedings began. Mr. John's lawyer, Mrs. Williams, laid out the case against his wife, Clara John. She presented the evidence of the affair, the screenshots of text messages, the hotel receipts, the photographs. Clara's lawyer, a slick, arrogant man, tried to discredit the evidence, to twist the narrative to make it look like a consensual separation. Then came the moment of truth. Mrs. Williams called Mr. John to the stand. She asked him about the pain of the affair, about the betrayal. He spoke of his love for his wife, his heartbreak, and the difficulty of moving on. He spoke of how he thought he would never love again. And then, Mrs. Williams asked him about his new relationship. He smiled, a genuine warm smile, and spoke of how he had met a woman who had shown him that he was still capable of love. He looked at Maria, and the crowd in the courtroom gasped. His new girlfriend was not the kind of woman you would expect to see in the courtroom of a billionaire's divorce. Clara's lawyer, a sneer on his face, called Maria to the stand. He tried to expose her, to make her look like a gold digger, a woman who was paid to be there. But Maria, with a calm she did not know she had, answered his questions truthfully and gracefully. She told the court that she was a cleaner, that she had a dream of starting a business, and that she was a person who was working hard to build a life for herself. She spoke of how she had met Mr. John, of the argument that had brought them together, and of the respect she had for him. She did not lie, she did not exaggerate. She simply told the truth. The judge, a wise old man, listened to every word. He looked at Clara, a woman who now looked pale and defeated. He looked at her best friend, the man who had cheated with her, a man whose face was a mixture of fear and shame. He then looked at Mr. John, a man who had been hurt, and at Maria, a woman who had been wronged. The judge, in a final powerful verdict, ruled in favor of Mr. John. He was granted a divorce, and Clara was left with nothing but the clothes on her back. After the court case, Maria and Mr. John went their separate ways. She took the money, and he returned to his home. She used the money to start a small business. She bought a small plot of land and built a humble home for herself. She felt a sense of peace she had never known. But she could not stop thinking about Mr. John. And he could not stop thinking about her. He called her a few days later. He asked her to lunch. She agreed. He took her to a small, humble restaurant, not a fancy one. They talked for hours, not about the court case but about their lives. He learned about her aspirations, her struggles, and her dreams for her new business. She learned about his loneliness, his heartbreak, and the pressure of his life. He saw her not as a cleaner but as a woman of strength and character. She saw him not as a billionaire but as a man who was hurting, a man who had lost his way. They started spending more time together. The relationship, which had started as an act of pretense, slowly, unexpectedly, turned into something real. They found in each other a kind of peace and companionship they had never known. He was her strength and she was his. He saw the world through her eyes, and she saw the world through his. He loved her for her honesty and her strength, and she loved him for his kindness and his vulnerability. He took her to a beautiful, quiet place and on one knee, he asked her to marry him. She was speechless. She had never dreamed of such a thing. She, a simple cleaner, was about to marry a billionaire. She said yes, and they were married in a small, quiet ceremony, surrounded by their friends and loved ones. What would you have done if you were in Maria's place? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for more amazing stories. Years passed. Mr. John and Maria were living a peaceful, happy life. He had sold his company, and they were spending their time helping others. They had opened a school for the underprivileged, a hospital for the poor, and a foundation for the needy. They were a testament to the power of love and forgiveness. One day they were at a market buying food for their family, and they saw a woman begging. She was thin and haggard, her clothes worn and torn. Maria looked at her, and her heart went out to her. She went to her, gave her some money, and as she did, the woman looked at her, and her eyes widened in shock. It was Clara. Clara, who had once been a woman of immense wealth and power, was now a beggar. The man she had cheated on her husband with, his best friend, had been a thief. He had stolen from his own company, and he had been caught. He had been sent to jail, and all of his assets had been seized. Clara, who had invested her money in his business, had lost everything. She had been fired from her job, and she had nowhere to go. She had been left with nothing. She started to cry. She looked at Mr. John and then at Maria. "I am so sorry," she said, her voice a raw whisper. "I am so sorry for what I did to you. I am so sorry for the pain I caused you. I was a fool. I was a proud, foolish woman." Mr. John looked at her. He saw a woman who had lost everything, a woman who had been broken by her own pride. He felt a deep, profound sadness, but he felt no anger. "Clara," he said, "I have forgiven you. I have moved on. The past is the past. We have to move on." He helped her get a small apartment, and he helped her find a small job. He did not tell her he was a billionaire. He just helped her as a person. They are now a living testament to the power of love and forgiveness. They give advice to people, and their words are filled with the wisdom of their journey. "The greatest revenge is to live a good life," Mr. John says, his voice now strong and clear. "You must tell the truth. The lie will always find you. It will always come back to haunt you. The truth is painful, but the lie will destroy you. Be honest with yourself and your loved ones, even if it hurts." "You must listen," his wife says, her voice full of a wisdom that comes from a deep, painful place. "The anger you feel is a sign of a deeper hurt. Don't act on your anger. Listen to the pain. Listen to your partner. If you can understand the wound, you can help them heal." Their story is a warning. It is a reminder that the decisions we make today will always come back to us, good or bad. It is a reminder that the past is a powerful thing, a thing that will always come back to haunt you unless you deal with it. But this is not the end of the story. Someone else is keeping a secret that will unravel everything they have built. We will bring this to your attention in the next part of the story. Do not miss it. Like this story, subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends so they can hear what happens next.